This is a song for my friends Jaret and Gary. They started a podcast and said a theme was necessary. They're just a couple of guys in a band that you know. Some rockstar dads who started a show. So here's the next episode.
Welcome to the Rockstar Dad Show. My name is Jaret. My buddy Gary is here as always. And man, you know, it is crazy that it's freaking April, dude. Like already goddamn April. And I don't even know where this year is going. It's fucking insanity is what it is.
You got your taxes ready?
I
don't.
Well, at the time of this recording, I don't.
I don't.
But at the but we'll see, you know. I don't know. I'm working on it. You know, it's I do want to thank you though. To thank you for turning me on to the show Boardwalk Empire. As I've said many times on this show, I really only watch like one show at a time because that's Casey and I spending time together or whatever. And we do have a few reality shows that we will watch and kind of keep up with. So we watch, but God, it's getting harder and harder. Like I don't even watch. This is gonna freak you out. I don't watch Young and Pregnant or any of this anymore. They all jumped the shark, all of them.
I mean, that's a pretty small jump, but
it's a baby shark.
Yeah, okay.
But you know, we've done Orange Is the New Black, and you know, we've done Game of Thrones and all of this stuff. And so we're watching Severance as well. Now, so I started this Boardwalk Empire while I was traveling because you told me I should check it out. And then I came home and I was sick. And so I just stayed in Jack's bedroom and I've just been barreling through it. So we haven't had a show that we're watching, you know, and Severance does that thing where it only lets you watch one a week.
Yeah.
You know?
Isn't that so weird? Like, I don't watch much TV either. And then usually whenever I do find something, it's, hey, I can just watch 3 seasons in the next week and a half, you know? But then we recently got on one that's like releasing one a week. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
I have to wait.
I know. It's so frustrating. And I wonder, I wonder what's in it for them. I guess it has to have something to do with getting people to get on the app, you know,
or getting people to keep the membership past the week-long free trial.
Sure. That makes sense. Because, you know, a show is 3 months. I mean, if it's 12 episodes, it's, you know, yeah, good one. Yeah, you'd have to do, you can't just get a free trial and finish a fucking show that's new.
Yeah.
So the other day, and she and I have been on opposite schedules because I got sick, she got sick, and then you know, we've actually I went out one night for St. Patrick's and she went out another night, and you know, so we've just been kind of opposite schedules. And so the other day she was just like, hey, I started watching the show. I'm only an episode and a half in, and I think you'll like it. So do you want to just catch up on it? I really wasn't paying all that much attention. I'll just rewatch these with you anyway. Have you seen this Succession?
No, I've heard it's great, but we have not looked at it yet.
It is fucking great, man. Like it, and here's the thing. I get a little worried about some of these shows that are a little older. In fact, you know, Boardwalk Empire being from 2010, I was like, I don't know. But since it's a period piece,
yeah,
it's fine. Like we tried to go back and watch The Wire, unwatchable.
Right.
Because just technology isn't right and terminology isn't right. And it's just,
I tried to do that with 24 a while back. I mean, it's probably been like 10 years, but even then at that point it's like, no, can't do it.
The thing about 24 though, too, is like so much of it was this cutting edge technology and shit. So like that wouldn't make any sense because none of it is, you know, I mean, I remember my ex was like big into that show and I did think it was cool. I mean, I watched a few of them, and then our buddy Frank Gorin directed a couple of episodes of it. And so I watched a few here and there, but and I thought the premise was really cool. Like, oh, there's going to be 24 episodes and it's all this timeline, and that makes sense. But I could see how that wouldn't age all that well, because again, I think anything where you're dealing with technology and things like that, it's just, it's, unless it's silly, like Star Wars.
Unless it's Back to the Future, like.
Exactly. Yeah. And even that, the years are getting so fucked up.
Yeah.
Because now you're like, wait, he just came here and we're, we don't have any of that shit.
Didn't he go to 2015?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. It's something crazy where it's like, none of that. Fuck. I mean, some of it, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, there's hoverboards, but they don't actually hover.
Yeah, that was Back to the Future 2, though. Sorry, not for anyone getting on me. That wasn't episode, or not the first one.
And I stand by this. The most unwatchable sequel in the history of movies. And you can fucking come at me all you want, but it is horrible. Fucking horrible.
It's not great.
God damn it, man. And I think I felt so strongly about that I convinced Ted and Rob that it was so, and that was like one of Ted's favorite movies. He didn't even like it now, because I was just like, I'm going to fucking convince you how bad this fucking movie is. But yeah, this Secession, man, I just can't get enough of it. It's got this Kieran Culkin in it, who's the kid that pees his pants in the bunk beds on Home Alone. Yeah, Macaulay's little brother.
Okay, yeah.
Who just won like a big award from our guy who we are 1 degree of separation from, Jesse Eisenberg.
Huh.
We were in a movie with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were in, by the way, if you guys didn't know, we're movie stars. We were in Cursed with Jesse Eisenberg. And a little tidbit about that is he was a kid and he wanted to come meet us. So he had to have someone bring him to our trailer, because our trailer was way out, because we were the only trailer that was allowed to have alcohol in it on the Santa Monica Pier. And I can't tell you how many of those stories I have.
Yeah, we got a lot of steps in just because we had alcohol.
Yeah, in so many different settings, right? Like, the 10th anniversary of Radio Disney, where like we're on the other side of the arena, and the only way to get there is to walk around the whole goddamn thing. But they put us the furthest away from everybody because we had alcohol, and we were fucking 30, and everybody else was, little kids.
But, they're probably like, hey, we don't want these kids around them, but they probably don't want to be anywhere near this either.
Yeah, no, it was fucking great. But when they came to get us to take the picture, it was like, yeah, but we're going to want to get back here as quick as we could. Billy Ray Cyrus came, though, and heard we had beer, and was like, I heard y'all had beer, and we had a beer with him.
We've made a lot of friends because of that exact same thing.
It's so true. I think one of my favorite stories ever is we were doing a festival in Ireland, and the drummer for the Goo Goo Dolls at the time was this guy that we had played with several times back in the day. And he was from Denton, Texas. In fact, one time on the Grammys, like he wore this shirt for this band that was from Denton, and it was really cool. And anyway, he came to our little dressing room area or whatever, and he was just like, y'all got beers? And he just sat down and started having a beer with us. And several minutes later, his tour manager frantically runs into this like box that we're in, frantically just going, God damn it, I knew you would be here because I knew Bowling for Soup would have beer. And he was almost late for his show.
That's funny.
And that was a good one. Mike, is that his name?
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah. I can't get his last name, but anyway, Mike from the Goo Goo. He's not in the band anymore. In fact, he's really not in the band. He fucking hates those guys. They talk a lot of shit about each other now. So, yeah.
What's the show you're talking about? What streaming service is that on? The Secession.
Max. It's the same one that has Boardwalk Empire.
Oh, okay, I've got that. Yeah,
I got everything. But Max, so it's like, which is in conjunction with HBO or Hulu. So I think you can use any of those. But yeah, it's the same thing. I hadn't fucking opened that Max app I don't even remember when the last time I opened it. And now I'm watching 2 shows on there.
It's funny how that works. So we have Max because it came with our internet provider or something like that, right? Like some of the services you go get because you want, and some of them are packaged with something, so you just have it.
Yeah.
And but anyways, we got that one, I think, through our internet provider, and hadn't opened it up for 2 years, and then all of a sudden there's like 2 or 3 shows on there that we like.
Yeah. Right? Isn't that, it's fucking crazy how that works.
Yep.
Television is a funny thing though, man. And so this is the thing that I was going to ask you, because, and I don't want to, no spoilers. Okay. So you guys, if you haven't watched Boardwalk Empire, I'm not going to ruin this for you, but I do have a question to ask Gary, who has watched the whole thing. Because I've started season 3 now. Now, I'm not going to say who, but they've killed my favorite character.
I knew you weren't going to like that when it happened.
Yeah. Because I fucking love this guy, right?
Yeah.
And again, I won't say anything else, but like they killed him. And so now I'm like, well, son of a bitch. So like, but you made it through the whole thing, and so is it going to stay good?
Oh yeah, it stays good.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
It stays good. It gets weird because, well, I mean, that's just the story arc of like, things are going good. You like these people and okay, there's the turmoil, but like everything just kind of gets fucked up for a while.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still a good show because that's the drama, is like no one's in a good place for a while.
I like the guy that works for him too, the Irish guy who banged his wife. Like I like that dude as well. But like I feel like they could make me not like him. At some point.
I mean, in that kind of world, like any character can go that way, right?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's funny how they've made the main, and again, no spoilers, but it's funny how they've made the main character this really evil guy, but like, not really. Like he's not fucking Al Capone. Like that guy, you just know, like, fuck, that guy's fucking great. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's like the main character, not main character, the character that you really, really liked. It's like the main guy is the one that had him killed, but it's like you're not mad at the main guy for killing him because you're like, I get it. The guy did something wrong.
I know, but I thought they were going to fix it. I really did. But what are you going to do?
Yeah. It's a good show. I think you'll like it. You're already
I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to finish it. I did really good finishing that the meth show, Breaking Bad. And so I'm excited actually, because if I don't finish it by the time we get back on the road, that's what I'll watch whenever we're at the gym.
There you go.
And so I'm doing this new thing at the gym where I don't watch anything. I just listen to a podcast, and it's making the time go faster for me.
I can kind of see that. And I've had that before. Cause like when you're listening to a podcast, you're like cerebral, right? You're in your head and you're imagining and, like you're visioning it, where it's really weird to say, but like watching something, I am less taken away, if you will.
Yeah. And man, that's a really good point. I'm glad I said something about that, because I was just, and you know what, maybe a book would be cool too. Like maybe I could, cause I just got finished not too long ago listening to Alex Van Halen's book, which I just started listening to on a whim. I didn't know if I'd like it or not, but it's fucking great. Cause I didn't know if he was just going to do the thing, again, no spoilers, where he was just going to beat up on David Lee Roth or whatever, but he really doesn't. He actually, I think, as well as you could probably expect, he gives Dave his credit,
That's cool.
And which I thought was cool, because I think it would be very easy for him to just be like, yeah, my brother was a virtuoso and that's the reason why we did anything. And, but yeah, maybe I'll do a book while I go to the gym,
Yeah. I think that'd be similar, like, especially like that type of book, right? Like the autobiography or the storytelling type thing, like, I recently listened to the Dave Grohl book, and that was one that like, it kind of took me to that, you're listening to the story and in your head a lot on it.
You liked it?
It was good. Yeah. Have you read it or listened to it?
No, I haven't. I mean, it's funny. I loved the first Foo Fighters record. I really haven't really been, I don't know. I mean, I get it. You know, I definitely get, and I understand. I do think he's a fucking great songwriter, and I think he's good for the industry. And I know he was nice to Rob. You know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like again, that first record's amazing. I like the second one too. I think the second one is like that's
your thing. That's the color and the shape, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
All the others I like. You know, there's great songs here and there, but I think they're all great. They're all fine. But those two, holy shit. But also like he's just cool, right?
Yeah.
And the book is more about him than it is the Foo Fighters. So it's a cool book.
Does he read it?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's a good one. I think I'm going to start that.
That's a good point too. Anytime it's actually the author reading the book, it's so much better.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. Like I don't know if Tranny is for you, and that like because that's the Against Me, Tom's book. I'm sorry, Laura Jane Grace's book. He's both, by the way. That nobody fucking come at me there. He's Tom and Laura in the thing. But I you just because that, you know, that's not your edit this out. Hey Jack, edit this part out. Yeah, well, I do. I think Dave Grohl is cool, so I'm gonna I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna listen to Dave Grohl's book, guys,
while you work out.
Yeah, man. Not my mom. My wife said that show that he had with his mom is really good. They I guess they like travel to different places together and shit, and or maybe they go meet other musicians' moms or something. But anyway, they had a show.
I don't know about that, but isn't that funny when you get to a certain level of famous where like you can just do whatever, we'll make it a show, you know, like, okay, Dave Grohl gonna go travel with his mom, they're just gonna make that a show. There's that Daryl, what's his name from The Walking Dead, where he's famous enough now, he's like, I'm just gonna ride a motorcycle to different towns, and that's the show.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the you know, one of the OGs of that was that Dave Attell thing or whatever, where he would just like go out at night after his shows and a camera would follow him and he'd just go into various bars and shit that he was going to do anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just made it into a show. You're right, man. Isn't that great? Guys, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will have more Rockstar Dad Show coming up later. You have 100% seen this guy's memes or his tweets. His name is Simon Holland. And he literally makes my day a lot. And I probably share more of this guy's content than I do anybody else's. That's coming up later on the Rockstar Dad Show. But before that, y'all listen to this. Welcome back to the Rockstar Dad Show. Don't forget, we are on Adobe Radio every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's a cool station. And then, of course, the Adobe app is free. You can go get that. You can listen to the radio station on there or the other shows / podcasts. And it's just cool. You might as well get it, you know, and it's easier to listen in your car if you have that. So go get it. Otherwise, you can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. And we certainly appreciate you doing so. It's a real fun show for us to do together. Gives me and Gary quality time, you know, which is important.
Yeah.
Supposed to spend quality time with your buds. Yeah.
Speaking of the app, my phone's loaded with a bunch of apps that at one point I wanted and don't use anymore.
Yeah.
What do you do with this? Like, do you go through and delete them, or do you just let them live there? And I don't care, because what I do is I just let them live there and they're in the way.
Yeah.
But this happened to me the other day where it's like, there's an app that I'm trying to find and I don't remember the name of, but I know what it looks like. And now I'm sitting here scrolling through like 5 pages on my phone of apps to find this app that I want to find. And I'm like, why are all these things in my way? But I don't want to take the time to get rid of them. It's, oh man, what do you do?
I do exactly what you do.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then and I have apps that I use for things, and then I won't do it for a while, and then I forget that I have it, you know, and like there, especially like video editing, like there's some that are really good at doing like this, you know, or like a photo, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I really should take the time to just go through, but I can sort of talk myself into keeping any app because like, well, you know, I might, but like, you know, like VRBO, like, do I really need that? And if I needed it, I could just go get it again, you know?
Totally. So here's, if there's any iPhone developers out there, here's what we need. Because I don't do this, but I think the solution is, okay, for your video editing, like, you just need a folder, right? And anything video editing goes in there.
Yeah.
So then, even if you don't remember it, you can find it, right? But the thing is, my phone gets loaded up with things that aren't in folders. And then I'm like, well, I'm going to go put it in a folder, but they're spread out all over the place.
Right.
So what we need is to be able to just add a blank page in the middle somewhere, right? So like in page 3, I'm just going to add a blank page. And then that way I can start moving stuff from page 1 and page 6 easily in there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, because it's a pain in the ass
to drag that little thing with your finger over 6 pages. It's a pain in the butt.
It is a pain in the butt. Like, why couldn't there just be a drop down? Whenever they start to wiggle, it goes add to folder, and it's just a list of the folders.
There you go. Yeah, something like that.
I mean, that could be cool. But yeah, I agree. Like my main screen, they just get progressively less organized as you go. Like my main screen is the shit. Like again, there's video, and then I have one that's called radio, but it's not radio. It's like all the streaming apps. And then there's one that's called, all the weather is in one space, and all of the maps are in one space, and the calendars and blah, blah, blah. It's just, everything's so autopilot. I just can go to anything and never even think about it.
Yeah, so mine's pretty much similar. Like the main page, it's all individual apps that I use on the daily. And then the second page is like, I use them a lot. And then after that, it starts getting to be a mess, and some have folders and some don't.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about certain things. I'm not harping on you. I'm saying this because you said it, but like, I don't give a shit where the weather app is, because I'll remember the name weather. And so I can just scroll down and search it.
Yeah.
Right. Who gives a shit where it is?
Right.
But it's those obscure, I downloaded this 2 years ago and I need it now. What the crap was it?
What is that's just the thing, is there's so many apps on my phone, I don't even know what they are anymore. Like, if you haven't used one for a while, like, why do I have this? And what is it? Like, and I guess that's just the thing. Like, you just need, like, the next time you're in a hospital waiting room, you dedicate, I mean, a long flight would be a good time too,
Sure.
Where you're just like, I'm going to clean up my phone. But, but everything is like that. Like my recording drive, like, I was just looking at it yesterday. Like, I need to clean it up. I need to clean up my computer. You just get so crazy busy, and you're just throwing shit, and I'll remember to do that later.
It's funny how it just happens eventually, though. It's like you get a new computer and like, I'm not going to let that happen. Yeah. Everything's going to be clean and organized and perfect. And you stick with that for a while. Mm-hmm. And then after a while, it's like, man, how did this happen?
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. And it's so, yeah. And then, again, luckily, we're Apple guys. And so, it's pretty easy to find anything, unless you're talking about mail. That fucking app sucks. I don't know one person that likes the mail app, it's just, and they just did the thing where they made it look like Google on your phone. Did you notice that?
No, I don't use it.
Oh, you don't use Gmail?
I use Gmail.
Yeah, so I use the OS, but they made it to where, like, now I had to go through all of this process to get it to look like it used to. And but yeah, anybody listening to that, I'm sure you hated it as much as I do, because I don't need a fucking thumbnail for every email. You know what I mean? Like, that's how Google is in the way that you look at it, right? Like, unless you have it set differently, but
I got it set differently.
yeah, it's fucking stupid. You don't need that, but God damn it. I'm glad we talked about this, though. Now I'm going to go clean up my phone, and I'm pretty excited about it. I really am. I have started, trying to consolidate things in my house.
Just like your apps on your phone.
Just like what? Maybe that's just it.
While we were sitting there,
that's what my life needs.
Well, what I was going to say is, while we were wrapping that up, I was sitting there drawing the parallel already in my head. I was like, okay, so my phone is basically the same thing as our house. You and I talked last week about how we're trying to declutter and this and that. And then I was like, you know what? I bet Rob's phone doesn't have a bunch of bullshit apps on it, and his house doesn't have a bunch of bullshit around it. So it's a personality thing, whether it's your house or your phone.
Yeah, there's no, this is actually true. We needed him to get an app for something. I cannot fucking remember what it was, man.
I think it was the last European flights we did. It was that Iberia or some shit like that. Whatever.
Yeah, we needed him to get the app so that we could do this certain thing, and he was just like, I don't need that on my phone, and I don't want to do all this because he's very, the thing you guys need to know about Rob is, like, if let's say we're going to a show and he's taking a backpack, and you go, hey man, will you just stick this in your backpack? You have just sent him into a spiral. Like, he doesn't want that in there. It's like he can feel it the whole time. He's just like, that's in my backpack, and now I'm going to forget about it, and he's not going to fucking ask me for it.
He's got everything mapped out and put in its place and perfect, and so your item is going to be extra. It's wrong. Yeah. It's not supposed to be there. And it's funny because now in our more mature age, we just go with it. We'll ask him to put something in there if we have to. But can you imagine being around him 20 years ago? Every day we would have just been like, I put this in his bag. He doesn't know it's there.
100%. Yeah, downloading apps on his phone, because can you imagine? Yeah, like back in the day where if you left your phone sitting around, you came back and your screensaver was somebody's butthole,
Yeah, like, your ringtone was something new.
Yeah, something. Oh, and you had to pay for it?
That was my favorite prank.
I forgot all about that. Back in the day where you used to have to pay for ringtones. And so if you left your phone hanging around, you'd come back and your ringtone would be changed, and that had been downloaded, and it was charged to your account because it's your phone.
And we may also instated the rule that you had to leave that ringtone on for 30 days.
Yeah. Oh my God. I totally forgot all about that. So funny. Yeah, I love the fact that just the victim has to pay for it. It's the best. Like, there's no real way around that. You pay the guy back? No, they just don't leave your fucking phone. No locks. You didn't have like a code or anything.
I take my phone with me everywhere, and I wonder if that's like because of that. It blows my mind all the time. Like we'll be in the kitchen. I'll be like, hey, Anik, do you have your phone? Can you do this? She's like, I don't have it. It's in a different room. Like,
yeah.
What do you mean it's in a different room?
Yeah. I mean, that's just it. Like it just, even honestly, the amount of times that my wife loses her phone or just doesn't know where it is just crazy. It's just, again, it's just, that's a personality thing. Cause she's just like, hey, will you ring my phone? I'm like, you just had it. Yeah. I mean, like, why don't you just know where it is all the time? It's just, it might as well be attached to you, as far as I'm concerned. But coming up on the show, we have Simon Holland. Guys, if you don't follow him on Instagram, you've definitely seen his stuff. He's just one line at a time and just really literally makes my day all the time. I'm not going to sit there and read his tweets to him or his Instagrams to him the whole show. So y'all are definitely going to want to follow him. He's and he's just such a great guy. So that's coming up next. But first, y'all listen to this. We'll be right back with more Rockstar Dad Show. Welcome back to the Rockstar Dad Show. And as promised, Gary, I'm so excited about this guest because he makes my day. I mean, at least 5 days a week. Like, I get whatever he posts on the internet absolutely just crushes the day. It's Simon Holland. How you doing, man?
I'm great, man. Thanks for the invite. It's a lot of pressure, 5 days a week. I mean, but look, I'm letting down several people 5 days a week in order to make it work. So it all evens out in the long run. You
have to be one of the most shared accounts and like people just taking your content. And I wouldn't say sharing it as their own because it, the way that you share it, it's got your name there and everything, but
right,
it's just everywhere all the time. I mean, I feel like more people probably see your stuff from other people sharing than they do you sharing it yourself.
That's a lot of sharing.
Maybe so. Sharing is caring, man. Yeah. I get a lot of direct messages on Instagram where it's just, the thing that I posted. and then a response like, "Oh, sorry, I meant to send that to my wife, or I meant to send that to my husband,"
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So before we get into this, is a show about being a dad. So we will get into that. But there's it's interesting to me because I don't really know how this all started for you because it's not super easy to find. I mean, how do you get it? Was it a Twitter thing first for you?
Yeah, I mean it's as organic as it really gets, I guess. So it all started on Twitter. Well, that's not entirely true. It started. I had a blog that I wrote. Gosh, I don't know. Can it even be 15 years? It's probably 15 years ago. And I needed a creative outlet. I've always been kind of a creative guy, and I wasn't really feeling like I was being fulfilled, work wise and stuff that way. And so my wife encouraged me. She was like, well, that was back at a time where blogs were kind of more popular, and it was a thing that people, read. I think they kind of have had their day and are kind of finished up. But I started writing little, stories and essays and things like that. And then to try to get more people to read it, I decided, oh, well, I'll get on Twitter and I'll post the link to this blog article. And that didn't do anything, because when you get on Twitter and you're only following 10 celebrities and 10 sports teams and nobody's really following you, it's just a vacuum, right? So I started following other accounts that I thought were funny, parenting humor. And then instead of posting a link to my blog, I would just post, maybe a thought from it, or, a headline or something like that. And it got to be where I developed a little bit of a knack for, putting those thoughts into, a short little post. And then it just kind of grew from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's so you're correct. I mean, you're not. Are you a comedian or I mean, no. So I didn't.
No, I mean, I've done a little bit of stand up. I think on my Facebook profile it still says comedian, because at the time there wasn't really, when I started posting memes there weren't a whole lot of things to select from. I don't know. I guess I would classify myself maybe as just a humorist.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. At this point, though, you can just be a content creator and everybody will just be like,
right. Oh, well, yeah. So that's a thing that exists now, which wasn't a thing when I started doing it. Right. Nobody knew what that was. And I could be off on this, but I think I may have started the whole just take a screen capture of your tweet and post that as the meme.
Yeah. And it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It really is. And it just, and I got to say this. I mean, I'm going to give you the greatest compliment of all time. I think you're the George Carlin of parental news. Because
that is huge.
You do this observational comedy in one line that literally, and I'm not going to kiss your ass. This is the truth. And listen, I actually do consider myself a comedian. I'm not, but I consider myself a comedian because we're musicians, and half of our show is just me farting around and the guys reacting to it. Right. So, right. But the way that you just take just the simplest thing, like, I hope my friends don't find out I own a coat signed teenagers, because that is it fucking. And what's crazy about that, kids won't wear a coat when it's cold, but then they wear a hoodie in the summer when it's 115. And you found a way in one line to just go, that's so spot on. Observation.
Just capture the essence. That's such an awesome compliment about George Carlin. I wrote a joke that I posted, this was years ago, and it was basically like, anytime I'm driving, everyone that's faster than me is a maniac, and everyone that's slower than me is an idiot.
Yeah.
And somebody commented, and they were like, and somebody commented, and they were like, yeah, that's a George Carlin bit. And so I deleted it because I'm not trying to steal content, but I hadn't seen that joke of his. So it was, even though I had to delete that joke, I was like validated going, yeah, man, we had the same kind of thought on that, you know?
Man, you're so right. You're so right. Now, okay, so let's talk about, because the things that I do connect with the most is your parenting stuff. So, how many kids do you have, and how old, and what are their names?
I've got 2 daughters, Kara and Zoe. Kara is now 18. She's a freshman in college, and Zoe is 14. She's in the 8th grade.
Okay. Yeah, man. So so you've run the gamut of the of all of it. And
you can search my archive. There is jokes about spit up and peeing in the bed and toddlers and babies and all of those kind of things. And now, they're more centered around embarrassing your teenagers and things like that. So I've been making jokes the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, and it's what as far as like you and your personality, were you sort of always that kid, or were you kind of always that dude that like something would happen and like you'd have like the one liner there, or is it more of a thoughtful thing where you just think of the stuff and put it down?
For a long time, like in school, I was a lot of times the kid that said something kind of quietly in the back, and then some other kid heard it and said it way louder and got all the laughs. And hated,
I remember that kid, like the actual
right?
kid back.
Yeah, the one that would be like, "Oh, Chris, you're so funny," and I'd be like, "That asshole, that's the thing that I said."
Yeah. Freaking non-credit givers, man. They're the worst.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I guess I've always been kind of like when social media first came out, I was annoyed by everybody feeling like we cared when they went to Starbucks or what they did. And I would just use the platform to make, to post silly things or to write stupid stuff. And it kind of has all grown from that. So yeah, I guess I've always been trying to add my social commentary on stuff.
Yeah. Do you still do the blog at all, or do you
say that again?
Do you still do the blog or anything other than just the post? No,
I'm working on a book that'll come out next year. That's kind of a revival of the longer format stuff. That we don't have dates on it yet, but I don't do the keep up with the blog. It's mostly, Instagram and Twitter or X or whatever now. And yeah, I mean,
from a creator,
and I still say stuff in the back of rooms that gets repeated louder by someone else.
So from a creator standpoint, so you're sharing on all the different platforms. Have you figured out sort of like what I'm just curious as to your method, as far as sharing it all? Do you okay, I just had a funny tweet, now I'm going to go share it on X and Blue Sky and Instagram all at the same time? Or do you sort of, do you scatter them? How do you handle all of that?
So forever, Twitter was the jumping off point. For the longest time, I felt like, and I was followed by some people that I thought were super funny and clever. And so I would post something on Twitter, and then based on kind of the reaction or how it did, I would then decide if it was ready for the main stage. Because for whatever reason, I got way more followers on Instagram than anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And Twitter's changed a lot over the last 3 or 4 years. And I don't know that it's fully that anymore. I think a lot of who I would consider the brightest minds in that space aren't on the platform anymore, but it's still, it's still some of that. And then I mean, I recycle a lot of stuff too. I mean, I've got a bunch of stuff. I mean, it's over a decade of jokes. So
yeah, absolutely.
I will roll things out multiple times, and some of them I know are going to be bangers, because they have been in the past, and they continue to. The crazy thing about that is like the lifeline of. There are people that have followed me for a long time and continue to, but as your follower account grows, new people that follow your account, they don't scroll back and see all the old stuff, so it's new to them.
Oh yeah,
they haven't heard that or read that, so
oh yeah,
that doesn't bother me to.
one of the great things that TikTok does is it reminds you of things that you've posted in the past on the day, and they essentially set you up for resharing old content. And it is wacky how, like, if I had one that went went viral, it'll do it again. And if I have one that didn't do so hot, it's not like it just finds an audience. It's like it does just as shitty as it did the last time. And it's so crazy about that. But that's one of the first things that I learned in becoming a content creator is that, you got to figure, I think in Facebook, like the thing is crazy. It's like 3% of your followers actually see your post each time or something crazy if you don't give them some money. So it's like you could just sit there and post and post and post, and obviously you'll get some people that are seeing it every time and get pissed. But, recycling old content for any of those creators that are listening because you're on here. Yeah, I mean, it's you got to do it because you find new people all the time every time you do that.
Well, and it's nuts because it really shows you that when something really gets out there and performs really well, you really struck a chord with someone. I mean, it's not always the highest quality content, but if you're trying to be relatable, which usually I am, it's nice to know that there are other people that are like, oh fuck yeah, I totally that is my life too.
Yeah, I mean that's why it's funny. It's like again, I follow a lot of comedians and whatever, and it's like we're musicians and so we don't really have what I would consider to be like a normal existence. We try and keep everything as normal as possible, but the reason why your content it makes me so happy is because of the normality of it. Like everybody should be able to relate to most everything you put under there, and it's like, and it can just be so simple. Like you said this thing a few years ago, I didn't realize having a wife and daughters would involve owning this many blankets. Simon, there are so goddamn blankets. There's and you know what? There'll be one on the fucking floor, and then they go get another one. And then and we have dogs, so they get hairy. So now it looks like the laundry is just out of control, but there's just 7 blankets waiting.
I mean, our living room looks like a homeless camp sometimes. It's just blankets everywhere. It's like a tent city and then nobody wants to get rid of the old ones because it has some kind of sentimental meaning. And so they just pile up all around.
How do you treat your time managing, creating content, right? Most of the stuff is like stuff that's happening in real life. So are you stopping in the moment and now I'm doing this, or do you have like hours that you put in towards doing it? How do you manage your time towards it?
It's the laziest way possible. And that was the thing that became so great about Twitter for me, is that if I saw something that I thought was funny, I could write a tweet really quick. Sometimes I would put it in a draft and I might try to wordsmith it a little bit later on in the day, but typically I'm going to get that thought out, either instantly, which I would say is 90% of the time, or 10% of the time I'll write down something in like my notes section of my phone, and it'll be something that nobody else gets, like it could just be the word sweatpants and ham. And then later on, I'll know what I was thinking about that,
Do you get any kickback from your family on that? And the vision I have in my head is like the Dewey Cox story where she's like, don't you dare write a song about that. Whenever something's funny is happening in real life and you pull out your phone to make a note, or your daughter's like, Dad, not this.
Absolutely. Oh, it goes both ways. I get that absolutely from my family, but then also sometimes in social settings, something will happen. Okay. So my daughter plays softball. We have time for a little story.
Oh my God, please. Yes.
So she plays college softball. They played in a tournament. So this was at a rec park in Raleigh, North Carolina. So it kind of goes back to the travel ball days where, people are coming in and you've set up chairs, and really the way that works is half of the, kind of from home plate, there's the visitor side and the home side, or this dugout and that dugout. And everybody had been set up. Our team had already played a game. We had watched her, and a mom from the other team before the game shows up, comes in and moves chairs and brings her wagon and gets right up into the front on like our side, like in enemy territory. And it was just like super egregious, but she's like she's like the friendliest lady. She's like, no worries, no hurries, like it'll all be fine. We're all just here to watch our kids play, see them do a good job or whatever. But everybody on our side wants to kill this lady. Like, what the F are you doing? And so I would get people being like, oh, can't wait to see the post of this, like,
Sure.
they're expecting. And so that, that's like the opposite pressure. It's my kids or my wife going, don't put this on the internet. And then I'm like, but it was really funny. So how can I figure out a way that doesn't hurt any feelings? Or the flip side is like, everybody wants me to just freaking, put this lady on Main Street and, and blast her. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I mean, I did post something about her and I just, did her voice, which was really similar to what I just did. But yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to get anybody wrecked.
Yeah. But man, so we're both baseball dads. I mean, he's like a real baseball dad. Like his kid.
I've had that exact situation though, where everyone's like, "What is this lady doing on our side?"
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah, that actually just happened the other day because the kids' grandparents they wanted to sit in the sun because it was a little chilly underneath the our bougie little stands or whatever that we have here in Prosper, Texas. And so anyway, so they sit over, and then of course, then they're just yelling for the opposite kids or whatever, and you can just see there's a couple of dads that are starting to fidget a little bit. And
like we're about to throw hands with the senior citizen. Like, what is happening? Why?
Baseball moms don't give a shit either, man. Like they will just tell it like it is. It's a terrifying thing to experience at times. But yeah, you know what? I wonder if now you have two girls, and one of them's a teenage. We both teenagers, but
both teenagers. Yeah,
maybe one sort of maybe your 18-year-old kind of aging out of this. But I wonder, just from you and from a comedy standpoint, and sort of just like a shots fired situation, like did those girls and your wife have like the tense time that teenage girls and mom often do, where you're just like, you guys are crazy. Why are you guys always at each other? And was that something that you were comfortable commenting on?
Yes and no. That's so. Yeah, I mean, I would say I definitely know, and there've probably been a couple of times where I've stepped on toes, but there are some things that it's just better left. It's even if it's a funny situation, it's just, I mean, self-perseverance is still the number one thing, right? Like I got to come home to this house every night. So I've learned that it's sometimes just better to, no content is worth, living in fear of your teenage daughter.
Oh my God, you're so right, man. You are so, there is just nothing scarier. And mine's 22 now. So she's amazing. It's awesome. Like she's just friendly all the time. But my God, when she was a teenager, and Gary has a 7-year-old, and sometimes his wife and daughter already get at one another.
I'm so terrified because my 7-year-old is already, acting like she's 17, but I'm terrified.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very scary.
Lot.
Yeah, man.
It's a lot. And
how do you so what is your, I mean, how do you guys handle, here is social media being a really big part of your day, and your I assume that you're making a little bit of money on it, and and there's all this. So like how do you guys handle that as far as your kids are concerned? I'm sure your 18-year-old is doing whatever she wants now, but as they were growing up, and your 14-year-old, how are you guys balancing that?
Yeah. so that was also part of the good thing about it being kind of short form based, right? So and I didn't monetize very much for a long time. And it's probably part of the reason that some of it really got traction, because I wasn't out there trying to make money on it. I was just out there trying to make people laugh. And I built up enough, of a following and a catalog of people that are like, this guy's not going to try to sell me windshield wipers. He just, he's just having a funny thought that I can share. And all of my stuff is really pretty G-rated. That's kind of by design. I mean, at the end of the day, why would I ostracize any part of someone who would think something is funny? So, and I think that most things you can present in a way, at least in written form, in a way that's pretty clean, that, that nobody's going to get upset about. But yeah, I mean, my older daughter would say, she'll puff her chest out a little bit and be like, oh, he was not funny without the stories about me, or, like, you're welcome, Dad. Or I'll do some kind of dumb little brand deal of, and make some money off of it. And she's like, where's our cut of this?
Wow.
You wouldn't nobody would even be following you if you didn't start out making dad jokes. And the only way to make dad jokes is to be a dad. So hello.
Yeah.
The other flip side of it is all teenagers are embarrassed by their parents. But not many teenagers have a parent that has, 700,000 followers on Instagram, and Instagram's a big deal to teenagers.
Very true.
So it's kind of, like, it's also kind of cool.
Yeah.
They don't want me to embarrass them on it, but they'll drop that into a conversation and be like, yeah, I mean, my dad has some followers.
It's funny how when it starts to be relevant to them. And I'll tell you, my daughter, who I just spoke about, is 22, but the day she was born, we got nominated for a Grammy. Her whole childhood, we're doing the theme song to Phineas and Ferb, and we're on television, the radio, and all this shit, right? Now, she was never mentioned what her daddy did. Like, she always just, was downplayed everything. In fact, like, sometimes she wouldn't. We have a very uncommon last name, and she wouldn't always, give that and whatever. And one day she literally texts me from science class in high school and just goes, Dad, the kids are looking you up right now. Do you know how many Spotify followers you have? And I go, I don't know. I think it's like 4 million monthly or something. And she just goes, Dad, that's a lot. And I'm like, yeah, I've been trying to tell you that.
You're like, bro, I got the goods.
Yeah,
man, it's funny. I told my 14-year-old that I was going to do this. And so we went through some of your stuff, and obviously, Phineas and Ferb hit a nerve with her because of her age. But the thing that really drove it home, man, your cover of Flowers from Miley Cyrus last summer, we freaking jammed to that all the time.
No way.
And she was like, oh my God. She was like, I love that version of that song.
Amazing. Well, I love it. I love the, again, it's an interesting thing to book this show, because I have to sort of play everything as this sort of like, I can't just assume that everybody knows who I am, but I also can't assume that you don't. And so it's just sort of like, I'm going to put the invite out there, and just, hopefully you just go to my profile and see, that it's legit or whatever. But I'm so glad that you guys, that she knew, who we were. But that's bonus. But both of my,
she was stoked about it.
Both of my sons, though, will pretty much just tell the guy at 7-Eleven, like, oh, my dad's famous. He's, this thing, or, this show. He's on this. He does this thing.
My son Tyler just is now getting into that world of figuring out that it's cool. So he's done the same thing that Jaret's daughter did, where just under the radar, not telling anyone. And next year he's going into high school. And so he had a event at the high school with all the high schoolers and whatnot. And so one of the kids there was asking him, what do your parents do? I don't know how they got on it, but he said that, my dad's in a band. And the kid's like, oh, is he famous or something? And he goes, yeah, kind of. And so the guy looked him up, and he's like, holy shit. All right. Wow.
Yeah. It's yeah, you're right though, Simon. I mean, almost 800,000 followers on Instagram is, I mean, you know, it's huge. And so that's definitely something to be proud of. And I'm glad your girls are stoked about it, man. Cause that's, dude, I mean, you know, as we wrap up, cause I know you got other stuff to do, man, thanks for coming on. And I just really appreciate you brightening my day. You know, each time I see it, you shared it, or someone else has taken it and shared it, you know, and credited you or whatever. But man, just you never miss, dude. You've never missed.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Hey, yeah, tell everybody that sees it to send me $1.
That's right.
And then it will be real monetization, right?
I know. I need to tell everybody, like, hey, he hasn't been monetizing this, guys. We need to let's you should be getting paid for that shit. Yeah, man.
No, but I mean, that's not the reason that I started doing it. It's been a super rewarding hobby. I mean, look at, you know, I'm getting to talk to you guys today. How cool is that? So it's really, really cool. And I appreciate you following and sharing and sending it along and all of that stuff. It's really neat to know that, you know, something that I created becomes a little bit part of the zeitgeist, right? That's the word that so
you know, I can't tell you how many days, because now you know, for the most part of my life, I just had the music stuff. Like I didn't really have any friends outside of it. It was my music, family, and then this is it. When I'm home, it's like just my wife and kids. You know, now I actually have friends that are dads around here in the neighborhood and stuff.
Right.
And I can't tell you how often I'm sending out the link to something that you say, man. So yeah, man.
Yeah, be the first one, because they're all rival dads. Somebody asks me what's a rival dad, and I'm like, it's friggin' any dad. It doesn't matter anything about it. It's my best friend who's also father is a rival dad to me. I still want to like bust his ass when I get a chance, or one up him, or be first to have the coolest thing, or share the joke, or whatever. So
yeah, absolutely, man, dude. Well, everybody, you can find Simon on, well, I know Instagram is Simon C. Holland. No, that's your Twitter.
Well, it's that everywhere. It's Simon C. Holland everywhere. My middle name starts with a C, not to be confused with thousands of people who think my last name is Cholland.
I don't know why. I never really even noticed the C there. I just I never thought your name was Cholland.
Selective reading.
No, some dude in England had Simon Holland before I could snatch it up. So that's how I had to differentiate back in the early internet days.
Yeah, you know, it's so stupid. Like we have to be BFS_official on Instagram, and it's like that's so dumb. Like there should be just some deal where like they go to that guy and just go, come on, you know? I mean,
yeah. Well, the flip side is that other guy's name is Simon Holland. His posts suck and nobody cares.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah, that rival dad's posts suck.
Fuck you, Simon. You do meet a lot of English people named Simon, by the way, and not as many Americans. So
yeah, not many.
Not as many. Simon, thank you so very much for coming on the show. And everybody else out there, thanks for listening. And make sure you go follow Simon C. Holland. You're going to be glad you did. We'll see you guys next time on the Rockstar Dad Show.
This is a song for my friends Jaret and Gary. They started a podcast and said a theme was necessary. They're just a couple of guys in a band that you know. Some rockstar dads who started a show. Until the next episode.